As I'm sure you're aware, I'm normally a very calm and rational and reasonable human being. But I did get a little carried away yesterday on the Your Season Is Over video and ended up having to just cut the video short because I got so mad I thought I was about to have a stroke. And never got to finish the Your Season Is Over video, which I spend a couple hours every Sunday morning making notes for. So I think we made it through all the helmets that I had taken off the wall for the losers. But there's actually some more losers on here too. And then I got teams that won but looked bad, teams that won that looked good. What else? Heisman list. Well, we'll just go through them. Did we talk about Illinois? I don't even remember if we did. Yeah, we did talk about Illinois. Oklahoma State lost to Kansas again, 37-16. What has happened to Oklahoma State the last 2 weeks? And then, was it this morning on the morning show? There's an Oklahoma State fan. They want Gundy fired? I don't know what you think you're getting at Oklahoma State that's going to do better than what Gundy's done for you. I mean, hell, he had you in the Big 12 title game last year. I know it's been a disappointing couple of weeks there, but I don't know about firing Gundy. But anyway, yeah, they lost to Kansas. Kansas is bowl eligible for the first time, in a long time. Syracuse lost again. They've now lost 2 games in a row after starting undefeated. No, 3 games in a row. Weren't they? Yeah, they were 6-0, now they're 6-3. They lost to the Taters, they lost to Notre Dame, and now they lost to a terrible Pitt team. And listen to this. Syracuse only had 140 yards of total offense. I should have stuck with my original thoughts on Syracuse, which is that they aren't any good. Wake Forest lost to NC State 30-21. Yeah, here's the reality about the ACC. It's the worst conference in the country this year. It just is. It's not normally the worst conference. I'm not saying that to bag or rag on the ACC. But the ACC is the worst conference in the country. The best team in the conference, Clemson, can't beat the worst Notre Dame team we've seen in a decade. And then they're hanging their hat on wins over Wake Forest by 1 touchdown in overtime. A win over Syracuse by 6-7 points. The ACC is just not very good. NC State's not a very good team. Syracuse isn't a very good team. Wake Forest isn't a very good team. And we were told those are 3 of the best 5 teams in the ACC. North Carolina and Clemson each have the 1 loss. Both to Notre Dame. That's hilarious. That's hilarious to me. But yeah, so they lost again. What else? West Virginia. They might not win another game. They lost 31-14 to Iowa State. They're now 3-6 and a very good chance of finishing 3-9. And Neil Brown's not a good coach. He's in over his head. He doesn't know what he's doing. It sounds like a broken record when I say it, but it's just true. And I've been saying it since the end of last season that he's not any good, and because he's not. And most West Virginia fans agree. And a lot of them want him fired now. And I'm not saying that firing would be the wrong thing to do. Hell, it'd be the right thing to do. You're never going anywhere with Doo-Doo Brown at coach. You're just not. It's not happening. I seriously don't know if West Virginia's going to pay the buyout, though. I don't know. If they got the money, they should pay it. What is the Neil Brown buyout? About $18 million or something like that? Is that right? About right? They better scrounge up some money or something. It's not working out. Not working out. Some rumors of Hugh Freeze. I don't know. With the Hugh Freeze thing to Auburn or wherever else, there's some people that don't want him in the SEC, and not because they're scared to coach against him. Woo. No, it's because of how he left the SEC and what happened at Ole Miss. I'm still being told by some people that he's blackballed from the SEC and can't coach there without the commissioner's permission. So, in other words, Auburn would have to get permission from Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, to even hire Hugh Freeze. I don't know how true any of that is. Okay, there's just things that I'm hearing. I wouldn't hire Hugh Freeze, not because I think he's a bad coach, not even because of necessarily what he did at Ole Miss. Forget that for a second. I wouldn't hire Hugh Freeze as my head coach of my football team because I don't want the extra attention that's probably going to come along with it. He was just cheating at Ole Miss. I mean, that's just reality. People, they're cheating everywhere. You know who says they're cheating everywhere? Teams who can't beat good teams. That's it. That's who says that. Everyone cheats. You just get caught. Okay, well, whatever. But what I'm saying is he got caught cheating. Okay, does that make you feel better for you? I mean, they were literally buying players, and then you got the whole prostitute situation that was going on. It just seems like if you hire Hugh Freeze, it's going to invite a whole lot of outside scrutiny that maybe you don't want as a football program. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But Auburn and West Virginia seem to be the 2 schools that you hear Hugh Freeze's name popping up about the most. Speaking of Hugh Freeze, Arkansas lost to Liberty 21-19. 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Unsuccessful. KJ Jefferson runs it up the gut there. Barely short. I think they even reviewed it, but barely short. And Hugh Freeze and Liberty hang on to beat Arkansas 21-19. Houston and SMU 77-63 was the score of this game. In regulation, no overtime. No overtime. 77-63. Highest scoring game in FBS history. All kinds of offensive records set in this game. Over 900 yards passing combined. Just insane. Of course, Auburn lost again 39-33 to Mississippi State. Mike Leach and that Bigfoot offense that they run with Will Rogers. But don't worry. There ain't enough cowbell on planet Earth for Mississippi State to win this coming up weekend, is there? No, there's not. Why? Well, they got to play the Dogs, best team in the country, and it's not even close. So good luck with that, Mississippi State. Probably going to get humiliated. Talked about Miami, even though I don't know why. All right, you want to talk about some teams that won yesterday? All right, that's fine. But I'm warning you, these teams won but looked bad. Ohio State, I'm talking to you. Ohio State fans are a special kind of special. I don't know what else to say. They're very sensitive about their team. Now, they're quick to point out anything wrong with any other team, no matter how small it is, right? But you say anything about Ohio State, and boy, oh boy, they get big mad. Well, the reality of the situation is no one was impressed with what you did to Northwestern. I don't care that it was raining. I don't care if it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. I don't care if it was 140-mile-an-hour winds. You didn't look good. You played in the same weather conditions that Northwestern did. And you had problems along the lines of scrimmage against Northwestern. You struggled to run the ball, especially early in the game. I'm not even saying, look, I'll give you a pass on C.J. Stroud. Yeah, you can't pass in 40-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, I'm giving you a complete pass on that. I've had C.J. Stroud top of my Heisman list almost every week this year. I've had Ohio State ranked number one I had Ohio State ranked number one in the offseason, number one in the preseason. I've had them ranked number one multiple weeks during the season. This guy just hates Ohio State. Tell me more. I'm not even coming down on C.J. Stroud. It's the lines of scrimmage for Ohio State that, to me, in that Northwestern game, gives me some pause and some concern if I'm a Sucknut fan. The reason you lost to Michigan last year is because they dominated you on the lines of scrimmage. You're considered a soft team. What? Let me type about this. Yes, you're considered a soft team, a finesse team. That's your reputation. And until you prove somebody wrong, it's probably going to continue to be your reputation. Michigan manhandled you last year. Because for a line of scrimmage, you insist on trotting out 5 boxes of Kleenex and calling it an offensive line. Look, I'm just telling you what I see when I watch the game. I've been extremely high on Ohio State going back to the day after the national championship game last year when Georgia won. I've had Ohio State on the top for this year. So they do our own name. Okay, I didn't ain't my own name. But I'm just telling you what I see. And I picked Ohio State to beat Michigan in my preseason prediction videos. And I said, I give Ohio State 90% chance to win that game. I just think they're the better team. Over the first month or so of the season, I thought Michigan looked better than I thought they would look. And so I said, all right. I'll give Michigan maybe a 30% chance, then Ohio State 70, right? Let me be honest with you, Ohio State, man. If Ohio State and Michigan were playing tomorrow, which they're not, they don't play for another few weeks, last week of the regular season. If Ohio State and Michigan were playing tomorrow, I would pick Michigan to win. Defense travels. And I think the offensive style that Michigan runs may be more than what the Sucknut can handle yet again this year. Blake Corum's the best running back in football. That's what did you in last year, Haskins or whoever it was. Ohio State's got to get something. The lines of scrimmage is the problem. Ohio State is a great team. Top 3, 4, 5 team. No question about it. Football's about matchups, and I just seriously question an Ohio State matchup versus a physically dominant team like Michigan, like Georgia. You know, y'all don't want to play Georgia. I know you don't want to play Georgia. Ohio State's 5-12 all time against the SEC, 2-9 in the postseason against the SEC, and winless all time against UJ. You don't want to smoke. You might want to hope you lose to Michigan. I don't know. But you won, but you didn't look good. TCU won, but didn't look good. We already talked about them. They don't look good hardly any week, it seems like. They're always losing in the second half, but they always come back and win. They did it again. Southern Cal is now 8-1. But they didn't look good. 41 to 35. That can't be right. Over a 3-win Cal team? Holy moly, you gave up 35? Is that accurate? Say it ain't so. 3 games left for you. Colorado, easy win. They're the worst team in the Power 5. But then you close out the season with UCLA and Notre Dame. 2 potential L's for Trojan Man to close out the season. I don't know. Caleb Williams is playing good, no question about it. We'll see. Can Southern Cal run the table and finish the regular season 11-1? Nope. They're not. They're going to lose one of those. You already know. Probably going to lose UCLA. North Carolina continues to not impress anyone, beating Virginia 31-28. Drake May's the only thing they have. In that respect, North Carolina and Alabama have a lot in common. Well, the only difference is North Carolina's only lost 1 game, whereas Alabama's lost 2. But, I mean, if you take Bryce Young off of Alabama, they'd be lucky to be 500. Same thing with North Carolina. North Carolina's just got the 1 loss to Rudy. But, man, losing to Virginia for a large portion of this game, you did come back and win. But you didn't look good doing it. So, I don't know what else to tell you. Who won and looked good? You already know Georgia did. Notre Dame, I thought they looked good. Home over Clemson. Michigan, 52-17 over Rutgers. Started a little slow, but poured it on, 52-17. LSU, of course, with a big win over Alabama. Oregon looked good yet again, like they do every single week. Type about that. I don't care. 49-10. Texas beat K-State 34-27, and they've got a huge showdown coming this week with TCU. This is a huge game for the Big 12 as a whole, because TCU's the last hope in the Big 12 for a playoff spot this year, in my opinion. I mean, there are some people out there that say TCU could go 13-0 and still not get in. That's ridiculous. If TCU goes 13-0, they're getting in. They got to play Texas this week. And breaking news, Texas is favored by a touchdown. Yeah, that's right. Texas just got done beating K-State. They're now favored to beat undefeated TCU by 7. We'll see. They play this weekend. Utah looked good, 45-20 over Arizona. What else? Kansas is bowl eligible. My God, that's breaking news. And Georgia Tech beat a terrible Virginia Tech team by 1 point. But let's be real. Any win Georgia Tech gets over anybody, no matter how bad they are, is a good win because they're so rare for Georgia Tech. Wins, I mean. So there you go. Those teams, one looked good, one looked bad. Heisman list, man, it was a weird weekend for the Heisman list because I think all 3 of the front runners, Hendon Hooker, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, that's who I had as the 3 front runners for the Heisman. They all 3 played bad. Just reality of the situation. Now, it's not C.J. Stroud's fault that the wind was blowing. No one's saying it is, but the Heisman Trophy is a stats number. If you're not putting up stats, you're not moving up the Heisman list. So I think C.J. Stroud took a hit. Bryce Young clearly took a hit, had the worst game, definitely of the season, maybe of his career, completing barely 50% of his passes. And, of course, Hendon Hooker didn't know which way was up on Saturday. The guy was scared to death, running for his life. He's probably got PTSD now for the rest of his life after what that Georgia defense did to him on Saturday. No touchdowns for Hendon Hooker. Less than 200 yards. Less than 200 yards through the air. Only 1 play of over 20 yards. Just not good for your boy, Hendon Ho. So, with those 3 players kind of coming back to earth a little, I've expanded my Heisman list to 6 names in no particular order. Blake Corum, running back, Michigan. He's the best running back on one of the best teams in the country, in my opinion. Drake Mays, North Carolina. Now, he's a freshman. Nobody pays any attention to North Carolina. It's inherently hard for a freshman to win the Heisman Trophy, especially a true freshman. But if you compare Drake Mays' numbers at quarterback to anybody else on your Heisman list, he's equal to or beating them in every category. Yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, QBR, whatever you want to look at. It's insane. And he runs the ball too. So don't just look at his passing numbers. Bryce Young, already talked about him. Caleb Williams, the hype seems to have died down around Caleb Williams as far as the Heisman goes. But he's quietly putting together a pretty good year. Feel free to check his numbers too. But those are the 6 names I've got right now on my Heisman list heading into the final 3 weeks of the season. And this is kind of where Heismans are won or lost, right? Hendon Hooker probably blew his opportunity this past weekend. This past weekend was the last Tennessee game that anyone's going to pay attention to. Tennessee's remaining 3 games are against Vandy, Mizzou, and South Carolina. No one's going to watch those games. Now, Hooker might put up ridiculous numbers, but no one's going to be watching to see, a quote-unquote Heisman moment. There won't be one. His chance for that was this past Saturday, and instead he dribbled down his leg and Georgia embarrassed him. So he, I think, is kind of on the outside looking in at this point. Whereas somebody like Blake Corum, the running back from Michigan, and of course C.J. Stroud, QB for Ohio State, they're going to play in the last week of the regular season. They're probably both going to be undefeated. Literally every college football fan on the planet is going to be watching that game. Caleb Williams, quarterback for Southern Cal, has 2 high-profile games, one against UCLA, one against Notre Dame. Drake Mays, another one that no one is going to watch him play until the ACC title game. So, I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to have to get narrowed down here over the next 3 weeks, and we'll see. But that's the Heisman list. The best teams in no particular order. We're in Week 10. If you're undefeated, you're one of the best teams. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Those are the 4 best teams. I don't care that you tell me TCU would lose to this many teams. Okay, that's fine. But they haven't yet, and we're 10 weeks in. So, you shouldn't have lost. Whatever team it is you're talking about. Hey, Alabama would beat TCU by 30. Okay, great. Should have beat LSU and Tennessee then, but you didn't. So anyway, those 4 teams should be the top 4 in everyone's ranking. Whatever order you can argue about, the playoff rankings come out tomorrow, Tuesday night. After that, it's the 1-loss teams, right? So you're talking about Oregon. You're talking about Tennessee. You're talking about UCLA. You're talking about Southern Cal, right? And then you got some 2-loss teams. Bama, LSU. Whatever. Oh, I think I forgot Ole Miss, too. Well, the reason I forgot Ole Miss is because even though only have 1 loss, they're about to get another one. Ole Miss has just got no defense. Ole Miss probably going 9-3. Anyway, there you go. Sorry about having to cut the Your Season Is Over video short yesterday, but I literally was about to stroke out in here with that Tennessee rant. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. Or you can just go watch yesterday's Your Season Is Over video. If you just want to see what I'm talking about at the end, just watch the last 5 minutes or something. You can see me almost have a stroke live on YouTube for you. I had to end the video, so I'd already made all the notes, though, yesterday, so I said, well, might as well finish yapping into this phone now and upload it today. So that's what I'm doing. Have a great day.